The name Jeff Daniels means something different to different fans of his work. It could mean his character Flap Horton in the classic movie Terms of Endearment. Or let's all admit it together, we go right to Daniels playing alongside Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. That role, as you're about to hear, may have been the most important of his long and distinguished career.
At the peak of his serious career, Jeff Daniels shocked everyone by making a bold move. He walked away from the success he'd worked so hard for, taking on a role that seemed all wrong for him. His agents begged him to back out, warning it would ruin his career. But he did it anyway. Now, at 69, Daniels looks back at that moment. The risk, the doubt, and the unexpected turn his life took. What he never saw coming was how that one choice would change everything. Jeff Daniels was born on February 19, 1955, in Athens, Georgia, but he didn't stay there long. When he was just 6 weeks old, his family moved to Chelsea, Michigan, a small town that would become the center of his life. He went to Chelsea High School, where everything changed when he joined the drama club. At 16, he performed in his first school play, South Pacific, and something clicked. Acting became his passion. Years later, Jeff would often say that the steady, hard-working spirit of Michigan kept him grounded through the ups and downs of fame. After high school, Jeff went to Central Michigan University, planning to study business and eventually join the family lumber company. But acting kept pulling him back. During his freshman year, he was cast in a university play, and that reignited his passion for the stage. By his second semester, he switched his major to theater. But 3 semesters in, Jeff made a huge decision. He dropped out of college to follow his dream of becoming an actor. It was risky, and his father was understandably worried. "You can always come back to the lumber yard," Bob told him, offering both comfort and a reminder of the stakes. Jeff moved to New York City in 1976 to chase his dream. He studied at the Circle Repertory Company, where he learned the craft and started building his career. His hard work paid off when he landed his first professional role in 5th of July in 1977, which led to his Broadway debut. At 22, he worked on a Broadway play called Gemini in 1977. This gave Daniels his first experience in professional theater, teaching him how things worked and showing him what it took to succeed. A few years later, Daniels got his first movie role in Ragtime in 1981. It was a big, important film based on a well-known novel, and he played a small part as a young policeman. However, his big break came 2 years later in Terms of Endearment in 1983. This was the movie that made people notice him. He played Flap Horton, a man who cheats on his wife, played by Deborah Winger. Instead of making Flap a simple, bad guy, Daniels showed his character's flaws in a way that felt real and human. The movie was a huge success, earning over $165 million and winning 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. While Daniels didn't win any awards himself, his performance stood. As Jeff's career grew, Daniels took on a wide variety of roles, showing he could do almost anything. In 1993, he played a Civil War hero, Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, in Gettysburg. This role was serious and emotional, and Daniels impressed everyone with how well he brought the historical figure to life. Around the same time, he starred in Woody Allen's The Purple Rose of Cairo, where he played 2 characters. One was a movie character who steps out of the screen, and the other was the actor who played him. This unique movie earned Daniels a Golden Globe nomination and showed how versatile he was as an actor. In December 1993, Jeff Daniels faced a moment that could redefine his career. He had built a reputation as a serious, dramatic actor with Golden Globe nominations, but now, a script for Dumb and Dumber was sitting on his desk, and it was unlike anything he'd ever done. His agents were horrified. They had carefully shaped his image as a reliable dramatic actor, and they believed that stepping into comedy, especially this kind of comedy, would ruin everything. For 3 days, his agents bombarded him with phone calls. They were desperate to stop him. Daniels received 17 calls in total, each one trying to convince him not to take the role. One agent, in a moment of pure drama, told him, "Jeff, I swear on my children's lives, if you do this movie, you'll never work in this town again." Another, equally passionate, declared, "I'll eat my hat if this doesn't destroy everything we've built over the last decade." The pressure kept mounting as the hours ticked by. The night before he was supposed to attend the wardrobe fitting, Daniels was packing his bags when his phone rang again. This time, 3 of his most senior agents were on the line, 1 from New York and 2 from Los Angeles. They spent over 2 hours trying to change his mind. They listed dramatic actors who had failed after attempting comedy. They reminded him of the prestige he had built with his earlier roles. One agent even offered to double his salary for his next 3 films if he walked away from Dumb and Dumber. But Daniels had already made up his mind. He was tired of being typecast as the dependable dramatic actor. Over the past year, he had rejected 14 scripts that all felt like slight variations of the same role. He wanted to challenge himself, to prove to Hollywood and to himself that he could do something entirely different. In a bold decision, Daniels not only accepted the role of Harry Dunn, but agreed to be paid just $50,000, far below his usual rate. To make this even more striking, Jim Carrey, his co-star, was earning $7 million for the same film. Daniels wasn't in it for the money. He wanted the experience, the risk, and the chance to break free from the expectations surrounding him. What Daniels didn't know was that Jim Carrey had played a key role in getting him cast. Carrey, riding the wave of his success from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, insisted on having Daniels as his co-star. When they first met on set in January 1994, Carrey explained why. "I don't want another comedian trying to outdo me," he told Daniels. "I want an actor who listens, reacts, and makes me better." Those words gave Daniels the confidence to fully embrace the role. It was 1993, and he was about to shoot one of the most outrageous scenes of his career for Dumb and Dumber. The infamous toilet scene, where his character Harry Dunn has a disastrous experience after drinking laxative-laced tea. As he prepared for the scene, Daniels couldn't shake the feeling that this could be a career-defining moment, for better or worse. He later recalled thinking, "This is either the beginning of my career or the end of it." Back then, toilet humor wasn't something you saw much in big movies. Daniels worried about how people would react. Could he pull it off? Would it ruin his reputation? As he stood on set, about to film, the pressure was overwhelming. That's when Jim Carrey, his co-star, stepped in. Carrey was already becoming famous for his wild and fearless comedy, and he saw Daniels's hesitation. "You just have to go all the way with it," Carrey said. It was simple advice, but it worked. For the next few hours, Daniels went all in. The scene was tough. He had to act like he was in total digestive distress while sitting on a toilet. The Farrelly brothers, the directors, kept asking for more takes, pushing Daniels to go bigger and crazier each time. Daniels later joked that it felt like porcelain gymnastics. He twisted his body, made faces, and timed every move perfectly. The crew couldn't believe how far he was willing to go. They ended up shooting 37 takes, trying different versions to get it just right. But it wasn't easy. After hours of shooting, Daniels started to feel the strain. During one close-up shot, he had to hold a look of extreme pain while the camera zoomed in on his red face. He held his breath, tensed his muscles, and gave it everything. Suddenly, he felt dizzy. "I almost passed out," he later said. But that real exhaustion made the scene even funnier. You could see the effort on his face, and it added to the comedy. When the movie came out, the scene became one of the most talked about moments. It wasn't just toilet humor, it was comedy done with complete commitment. Daniels proved he could handle more than just serious roles. What really made the movie work was the chemistry between Daniels and Carey. They were complete opposites. Carey was a wild comedian, and Daniels came from a background in serious drama. But together, they created magic. During one break in filming, they spent an afternoon making up lines for their characters, just playing off each other. That's how they came up with scenes like "the most annoying sound in the world," which wasn't even in the script. Their connection made the humor feel effortless. When Dumb and Dumber hit theaters in December 1994, no one expected it to become such a massive success. It made over $247 million worldwide, far beyond what anyone thought it would. For Jeff Daniels, this film was more than just a hit. It changed everything for him. Before this, he was known for serious roles in films like Terms of Endearment and The Purple Rose of Cairo. His decision to play Harry Dunn was risky. His agents even begged him not to take the role, worried it would ruin his career as a serious actor. But Daniels trusted his instincts, took the chance, and it paid off. The movie didn't just prove he could do comedy, it showed he was more versatile than anyone thought. One unexpected fan of Dumb and Dumber was Clint Eastwood. Years after the movie came out, Eastwood surprised Daniels at a golf tournament by mentioning the infamous toilet scene. He even admitted to having a similar embarrassing moment in real life, which shocked and amused Daniels. This unexpected compliment from Eastwood was more than just a funny encounter. It led to a professional connection. In 2002, Eastwood cast Daniels in the crime thriller Bloodwork, giving him a role that showcased his range as an actor. For Daniels, it was proof that the comedy that made audiences laugh could also win respect from Hollywood legends. The success of Dumb and Dumber opened up a world of new opportunities for Jeff Daniels. Before this, he was mostly seen in dramatic roles, but playing Harry Dunn proved he could handle comedy just as well. This newfound versatility allowed him to take on all kinds of roles, from the eerie arachnophobia to historical dramas like Gettysburg. One of his biggest achievements came in 2012, almost 2 decades after Dumb and Dumber. Daniels was cast as Will McAvoy in Aaron Sorkin's TV series The Newsroom. This role was intense and challenging, requiring him to deliver fast-paced, smart dialogue. It was completely different from the goofy Harry Dunn, but Daniels pulled it off. His performance earned him an Emmy Award in 2013, but nobody expected him to win, especially since he was competing against big names like Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad and Damian Lewis from Homeland. Even Jeff himself was shocked. But his role as a fiery news anchor, especially his famous "America isn't the greatest country anymore" speech, grabbed everyone's attention. That scene became a hit online, sparking debates about America's future. This role earned him 2 more Emmy nominations and proved he was one of TV's best actors. However, Jeff Daniels has lived a life completely different from most Hollywood stars. In 1979, he married Kathleen, his high school sweetheart, and they've stayed together for over 40 years. That's rare in Hollywood. Their relationship has lasted because of how down-to-earth they are. Jeff jokes that the secret to their marriage is knowing when to stop talking, saying, "Mansplaining is a disease." For their 25th anniversary, they renewed their vows in the same high school auditorium where they first met. They even wore copies of their wedding clothes. This showed how much they value their roots, something that's nearly unheard of in Hollywood. In 1986, Jeff made a surprising choice. Instead of moving to Los Angeles, like everyone expected, he and Kathleen decided to stay in Chelsea, Michigan, a small town with just a few thousand people. They wanted to raise their kids, Ben, Lucas, and Nellie, in a normal environment, far from Hollywood. This choice had a huge impact on their family. Jeff's oldest son, Ben, once visited Los Angeles as a kid and said, "Dad, why would anyone want to live here?" That moment convinced Jeff he'd made the right call. His agents told him he was making a big mistake, that living far from Los Angeles would ruin his career. But Jeff didn't care. He told the studios, "If you want me, I'll be in Michigan." At one point, he even turned down $75 million because the deal required him to live in Los Angeles for over a year. For Jeff, his family's happiness and quality of life always came first. Amazingly, his career didn't suffer. Instead, Hollywood adapted to him. He built a home studio where he could audition and read scripts without leaving Chelsea. Back then, this was a cutting-edge idea, but it allowed him to work while staying close to his family. Jeff's connection to his hometown goes beyond just living there. In 1991, he started the Purple Rose Theater Company, named after the movie that gave him his big break. The theater has brought culture and life to Chelsea, drawing thousands of visitors every year. It's also helped the local economy in a big way, creating jobs and bringing millions of dollars to the small town. Jeff also started a program to train young actors and theater workers, giving people from the Midwest a chance to break into the arts. In 2017, Daniels took on a completely different role in the Netflix series Godless. He played Frank Griffin, a terrifying one-armed outlaw. This character was nothing like the others he had played before. Frank quoted the Bible, spread fear wherever he went, and even carried his own severed arm as a trophy. Daniels made him unforgettable. Critics loved how he gave the villain so much personality and depth, making Frank both scary and fascinating. This performance won him another Emmy and showed that Daniels could excel in any role, even in a gritty Western drama. But Daniels isn't just about serious roles. In 2014, he surprised everyone by returning to comedy in Dumb and Dumber 2, the sequel to the 1994 hit. Working alongside Jim Carrey again, Daniels played Harry Dunn, a goofy character fans loved. It wasn't easy to bring the sequel to life. There were delays, and at one point, Carrey almost quit the project. Daniels stayed loyal, saying he wouldn't do it without Carrey. The film, which followed the pair on another silly adventure, wasn't loved by critics, but fans showed up, making it a huge box office success. Daniels showed that he could still make people laugh, even after years of doing serious acting. Another surprising side of Daniels is his music. What started as a personal hobby turned into something much bigger. Daniels has released several folk albums, writing songs that reflect his life and experiences. He performs live shows, often donating the proceeds to his theater company. His music has become another way for fans to connect with him, offering a glimpse into his thoughts and personality. Jeff Daniels still remembers his worst audition like it was yesterday. It was March 17, 1983, and he was trying out for the role of Flap Horton in Terms of Endearment. He arrived at Paramount Studios nervous but ready. The moment he walked in, though, things went downhill. He tripped over a cable, sending scripts flying everywhere. Flustered, he started his lines but forgot them almost immediately. Panicking, he made up a strange story about a man who thought he was a penguin. The casting director tried not to laugh, but the director, James L. Brooks, didn't crack a smile. To make things worse, Jeff walked into a closed door as he left the room. Convinced he'd blown it, he was shocked when 2 days later, they called to offer him the role. Years later, Brooks admitted that the audition wasn't a disaster. It was proof Jeff had the humor and vulnerability needed for the part. This taught Jeff something important. Sometimes, being memorable is better than being perfect. Years later, in 2018, Jeff shared advice for young actors during a class at his theater. His main lesson? Don't chase fame, chase the work. Early in his career, he turned down a big TV role to work at a small theater in New York for just $125 a week. It wasn't glamorous, but it helped him grow as an actor. Jeff also told young actors not to avoid challenging roles. He gave an example. In 1994, after doing the heavy war drama Gettysburg, he took on the goofy comedy Dumb and Dumber. His agent thought it was a bad move, but it ended up showing Jeff's range. Even now, Jeff keeps learning. At 63, he took a 6-week Shakespeare workshop to improve his skills. "Always be a student," he said. But he didn't shy away from hard truths either. He explained that most actors don't make a living in the business, saying, "I've been told no almost 10,000 times, and that's just part of it." His final advice was simple. Grow a thick skin, but keep your heart soft. That's where the magic happens. Of course, not all of Jeff's career choices have been great. In 1986, he turned down the lead in Platoon, a movie that went on to win 4 Oscars, to star in a romantic comedy that flopped. He called it his biggest mistake. After that, Jeff came up with a system for choosing roles. He reads each script 3 times, once to enjoy it, once to study the character, and once to imagine how he'd feel if someone else got the role. If missing out would make him sick, he takes the part. Early in his career, he also struggled on stage. During a Broadway show in 1982, he forgot his lines for a full 30 seconds. The audience grew restless, and his co-star, Christopher Reeve, had to save the scene. Instead of letting the failure defeat him, Jeff created a new memorization method. He now links his lines to physical movements or props on stage. This trick helped him during his role in To Kill a Mockingbird, where he had to deliver over 9,000 words every night. In 2017, Jeff gave a speech about how much the entertainment industry has changed. He said actors used to get 5 minutes to impress casting directors, but now it's only 30 seconds. He also talked about how streaming has made TV shows shorter and more likely to be canceled. He shared a surprising fact. In 1990, dramas made up most of the top films, but by 2017, only 12% of big movies were dramas. Most are now either superhero blockbusters or tiny indie films, leaving little room for middle-budget projects. Still, Jeff was optimistic. He said limited series, like Godless and The Looming Tower, have brought back great storytelling by giving characters more depth. Jeff also has a unique philosophy about his career. He calls it deliberate discomfort. The idea is to always challenge himself by switching between comedy and drama, theater and film. Out of all his roles, he's never played the same type of character twice in a row. He also believes failure is a great teacher. In his office, he keeps a failure wall covered with rejection letters and bad reviews as a reminder of what he's learned. He follows a 70-30 rule, picking 70% of roles for commercial success and 30% for passion projects. This balance let him do movies like The Squid and The Whale, which earned him awards, alongside bigger hits. But his most surprising decision came in 1995, when he turned down a $75 million deal to move back to Michigan and start a theater company. He told a group of graduates, "Success isn't about money or fame. It's about waking up excited to do what you love."